Inside the Game is live across your airwaves and in one piece. Thankfully, we are not burned to the ground or tarnished or burned to nothing but rubble. I was concerned we might be there for a second because as Ryan and I were ready to go live here for 258, the fire alarm started going off because I think our boss Jonathan Turner actually set it off for some reason. He's so excited. He's so red hot about opening day today, 2026, that he just ran out, and the steam from his ears actually set off the fire alarm. So that's why we're parachuting in here for 258, but just on time. And everybody's a lot of people's favorite time of the year here, opening day. Just kind of a sign that warmer days are coming. Summer is around the corner, and obviously the start of the baseball season and a hopeful one here in Michigan. But hey, kind of a mad scramble to get things started there. I thought maybe you were going to run out of the building and we were going to have a whole situation, but we're all right. We
Yeah, no, we're
survived.
fine. I guess there's some tests going on, so you could hear some fire alarms, like a test that we did not know about. So there could be some fire alarms going on during the show. So who knows? I could be given a great point, and then I might have to just mute myself and put Nate on the screen for
Yeah.
until it stops because
There you
the
go.
fire alarm
That's
is
fair.
just outside the door. The door, and then just outside the wall, and these walls are paper thin for anyone who's never been inside of one of our studios. You can hear everything in where I'm at, like out there. So yeah, no, we maybe I'll disappear for a little bit during this one.
You had a really cool story to kick off the show here today, though. I was looking at our sheet and what was going on in and around the sports world, and I know we do our cold open sometimes, and you had a really nice story here to begin this one, which kind of reminds me of a similar story that I also saw recently in the World Baseball Classic with the Czech electrical engineer that struck out Shohei Ohtani. It's always one of my favorite stories when it comes to sports, people that have other professions, and it's weird to think. Once upon a time, that actually used to be the norm. Professional athletes used to actually go get day jobs and then do that and play the sport. Obviously, now it's different. They make more money than Jesus Christ himself. But, back in the day, that's kind of what it used to look like. So a really cool, inspiring story to open up the show, but I'll let you set that one up.
Yeah, I was scrolling through while I fed the dogs this morning. I was scrolling through my phone, waiting for them to come in, and go on Instagram, and USL2 posts a video, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. A medical student on Steel City scored a PK last night for Steel City against Pittsburgh FC, and I just thought that was a really cool story to see. Like the U.S. Open Cup, man, they've got some really cool stuff, or soccer, I should say, in this country. Got some pretty cool stories. We had the 18-year-old that scored the other day, or last week, or 2 weeks ago, I think, and then we had this one with the medical student. I did not have time. His name was Nicholas Greca. I did not search up what college he goes to, but I thought that was pretty cool, which then brought me to this point. Which athletes have had crazy former pro athletes have had crazy career choices after playing sports? So I got this list. There's 11 players that I have on this list. The first one is a former Arizona Cardinals quarterback who played 10 years in the NFL. His name was Jake Plummer. He is now a mushroom farmer. That's what he was a vocal advocate for medical marijuana in 2007, and he's gone as far as becoming a mushroom farmer.
These aren't like the yummy mushrooms you eat like on your pizza. These are like the kind that make you taste colors.
No, this is for medical purposes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I gotcha.
Drew Bledsoe
Right.
is a winemaker. Obviously replaced by the one and only Tom Brady, but he now has a winery called Bledsoe Family Winery. Produces under 2 different labels, double back and Bledsoe McDaniels. So that one was kind of interesting. This one,
it's like Chelly's Chili.
What'd you say?
It's like Chelly's Chili.
I
love that place.
Did not know who this player was, but I guess he played a while in the NBA. Bryant Reeves. He is now a cattle farmer, 7-footer, who was upwards of 300 pounds, who played at Oklahoma State and 6 seasons for the Memphis Grizzlies, considered big country. And he's got a 300-acre ranch where he is near the Arkansas River, and he has a cattle ranch. Takes care of animals as their primary source of income now, and he put basketball behind him. This one I think you probably knew, and a lot of people probably knew, but Jared Allen, the now Hall of Famer, is a curler.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knew that one.
Yeah. Yep.
Mookie Wilson, who spent 12 years in the MLB, is now just a basic truck driver. He is
A lot of money to be made there.
Yeah, it is. It's just I would not want to do that job. It sounds boring. He is remembered as the guy who hit the ball that skipped through Bill Buckner's legs during the 1986 World Series. He is a tractor trailer truck driver and makes deliveries throughout the United States. Randy Johnson is a photographer. That's what he does. Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, I've seen some
also
of his work. He has really good, really good photography, and it's so funny to see him out there doing it because it does not look natural at all with how big he is. So looks like he's completely out of place. I'm sure he could probably still pitch if he wanted to, but no, it's he does good work.
Randy Johnson doesn't say the name of his photography company, but it has a logo that features a dead bird as a nod to his most infamous moment in his career.
Yeah, he murdered that bird. Cold blood.
And then Ken Griffey Jr., also a photographer. He's actually a photographer with the Masters, believe it or not.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Mark Hamilton, a former St. Louis Cardinal, became a doctor. He only spent 47 games in he only played in 47 games in 2 seasons in the MLB, one of them which he won a World Series ring, but he now became a doctor.
A lot of these guys have degrees. I mean, you'd be surprised to see some of the things that these guys actually like majored in college. And so it's like to think that, even if the career doesn't pan out, like they got a nice degree waiting for them. So some of them with medical degrees, Notre Dame, Ivy League, all these other places. It's like, all right, yeah, you're set up pretty well.
This one guy I've never heard of, Junior Bridgman, who played 12 years in the NBA, operates 160 Wendy's locations and 120 Chili's outposts, and eventually leveraged that to buy a bottling plant that distributes Coca-Cola.
Nice.
He was well over $1 billion. He passed away last year. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. But he's worth well over $1 billion.
Damn. Yeah, I don't. I mean, Wendy's, I have some trust issues with Wendy's. That's pretty successly. You did a lot for $1 billion?
Yeah, he's worth over $1 billion.
That's
I find
crazy.
that quite impressive. And then where's this? Roger Staubach, he has a real estate company, and then which he then sold in 2008 for over $600 million. Impressive. This guy, I have no idea who he is. His name is Byron White, but he was an All-American halfback, and then eventually played in the NFL, and he became a Supreme Court justice.
I think I remember that. I think I knew that one.
Oh,
yeah.
JFK appointed him in 1962, a post in which he held for over 30 years.
You know what? If I'm being honest, I think I might trust some of the athletes. I think they know what's going on. I think they know how to compete. So I wouldn't mind them being politicians because they know what it's like to battle when the odds are against you. So I like that. I like that.
So
that a lot.
That is our list of athletes who then became interesting pro careers. I think Darko Milicic has his. I can't wait for Nikola Jokic to join that list. Can't wait for him to be a cattle farmer. I can't wait for Jokic to be.
I think in a perfect world he would like to be a jockey, but unfortunately, like genetics told him he could not be a jockey. He would kill the horse if he got on the horse. So I think Nikola Jokic is the most fascinating person of all time, and I think it's because he is the most clear-cut example of if you are naturally gifted, God-given talent at doing something, even if you don't enjoy doing it, you can have hobbies that you enjoy more than what you're doing, but you gotta do it. I'm sorry. God gave you this ability to shoot a basketball like that from 7 miles away over your head. He gave you ability to see things that are happening before they even happen. The NBA is just your job. Okay. Just go clock in at your job and then you can go play with your horses. It's the most, I've never seen anybody like Nikola Jokic before and probably never again. But I know we got to get into our soccer conversation. I will say this before we quickly move on to that. I think it's the thing that's cool about the U.S. Open Cup And we talked about on this show multiple times before about how soccer is oversaturated in the US. You know, like there's too many teams and too many cities and too many places. And okay, yeah, you can claim that there's so much and we don't know who's who and that it's all scattered and it's the Wild West. We can claim that, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that we continue to add more teams. And I think it's just because it reemphasizes that soccer is for everyone. And even if you're like a UPSL where you're giving a guy who maybe is an electrician during the day an opportunity to come out and compete, I love it. And compete in a tournament that has national eyeballs on it. Yeah, I love it. And so I think it just what that moment did yesterday is it reinforced that soccer is for everyone. I mean, even if you're a working class professional, which I know he's not a professional quite yet, but a med student scoring a goal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like med school itself takes up all your time. How the hell are you able to manage playing and doing that at the same exact time and score a goal? So that's really impressive. And again, I just think it goes back to reinforce that this game is truly for everybody. And it's just fun to see those stories, especially in a cup like that. Now we know obviously once it gets to the end, you know, MLS teams dominate, but it's still a really cool story. So
Do,
that's why we love the sport as much as we do.
do we truly think soccer in the U.S. is oversaturated? Do we truly think that?
I think we only say it's oversaturated because we don't know, because there's so many different leagues and so many different structures and so many different I think that's what makes it seem overwhelming or like there's too many teams. But the sheer number of teams, no, I mean you need them in order to compensate for how many kids are playing the sport. I mean, how many, you know, we talked about that, isn't it? Like in terms of participation, isn't it the most, the
I,
highest?
I'm just
No, I know it's
I think so, but I'm just asking this question
yeah.
because I just did a quick Google search. I asked how many pro soccer teams are in England, and England has over 7,000 soccer teams across professional, semi-professional, and grassroots levels. There's 92 professional in their top four pyramid. And I just searched up with the United States, and we got 30 Premier League, or not 30 Premier League, 30 MLS teams, and then we have I think 27 USL Championship. Then we have USL League One, MLS Next Pro, NISA is in there, and then the women's side, NWSL, USL Super League, USLW, and NPSL. So I don't think soccer. If we're going based on solely teams, I don't think it's saturated. I do think, however, there are too many different leagues and we don't have a proper structure. I think you're right that
Yeah.
it feels
Yeah.
oversaturated because there's so many 3-4 letter different leagues around this country, and we don't have
Yeah.
like obviously I'm sure the goal if you're an American soccer player would be to get to the MLS or the USL Championship, but if you were to
Right.
get to that level, well, there's no promotion relegation. You'd have to, it's a little bit harder to get to the top level and be seen by all these ones because there's
Right.
not necessarily promotion relegation, but in terms
Mhm.
of teams, I don't think it's oversaturated. I just think the amount of different leagues because
Yeah.
think about it, England is a much smaller country than the United States.
Oh,
And
yeah, far
if
smaller.
to the other point of you saying there's too many there's too many cities, too many teams, well, I don't really buy that because you go to England, you go to Spain, you go to Germany, you go to France, they got as many teams, if not more, and they're much smaller countries. I just think the difference is there's no structure here in the United States, and
Yeah.
that's why I feel like it's oversaturated.
100%. No, you're exactly correct. I mean, it's funny because like you know, even me as a play-by-play talent, you know, you'll get the notice like, hey, you got a game time or whatever, and you're like, well, what league? It's like, well, it's the XFL's SYZWMLS that you're doing tonight. And it's like, what? Like, I've never heard of this league before in my life, you know, but it's like, you look at it and it's like some 27-year-old who like did really well playing Division 1, but like never got the opportunity beyond that point. So like we have a lot of players, but we have just 800 leagues to choose from. And so they're all just kind of scattered to wherever on the map. And so it's not easy to understand. So I think that makes it look oversaturated. But in terms of the sheer, the land size and the amount of people we have, no, I wouldn't say in comparison, like a per capita type thing, it's even close.
So if you told me but last year, around this time last year, before I even stepped foot inside the National Soccer Network Premier Media Group studios, whatever you want to call it, I only knew of two leagues: the USL Championship because DCFC played in it, and I've gone to games and
Yep.
the MLS. Knew nothing about MLS Next Pro, knew nothing about NISA, USL2, USL League One. Like, I'm sure I probably knew about USL League One, but I just didn't bother with it, I guess. Or UPSL, NPSL. Like, I didn't know any of these leagues. And then I became here. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then my mom will be like, so what game are you calling tonight? I'm like, Mom, if I explain it to you, you get more confused. Because eventually I started explaining all these different leagues, and she's like, I'm lost. Like, I didn't know anything about the Major League Indoor Soccer or MASL. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little difficult.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different leagues, there's so many different things, and so that's why I think it gets definitely confusing for the consumer at certain points. You want to launch into the U.S. men's national team conversation, or you want to talk about Bayern here really quick before we get to that?
Let's go to break. It's already 9:16. Let's go to break, and then we'll get into the men's national team conversation.
Cool. Let's talk about it on the other side. First, FC Bayern Summer Soccer Camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels, FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city, start a promising soccer path, and right now save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown, we're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
And Gesundheit, welcome back into Inside the Game here, episode 258 in the National Soccer Network. Second to last episode here this week as we get into our first hour conversation. Ryan, yesterday I know I talked about Landon Donovan and his critiques of USA Soccer and everything as it surrounded the Noah Kai Banks conversation. You guys really like that one, getting involved on that. And today we're focusing on, something that I talked about jokingly earlier this week and something that seems as inconceivable as it is, tangible. And that is Mauricio Pochettino trying to get the most out of this team, but now kind of verbally explaining it, putting it into words and saying it out loud and waiting to see what the reactions of the soccer world is. And essentially yesterday in camp said, why not us? What is stopping the U.S. men's national team from making a run? What is stopping this group from doing something that they've never done before, from achieving the one thing that we all want to see as fans and as supporters and as people who, have watched this team forever? Why not us? Why can't we be the ones to make a difference to make a run. And again, it seems inconceivable, really, from my point of view. And I don't agree with all the people that are like, well, you're going to get grouped. We're past that point. We're past that point, in my opinion. I think we're too good to just fall to a side that has no business beating us. Now, I don't want to get too far. I feel like we've said this and then we end up slipping. I think we're much better than that. I think we're at least a quarterfinal or a round of 16. But I love at least the mentality from Mauricio Pochettino, especially in an area where we were having some serious questions about what his plans were and weighing other jobs and all these distractions. Clearly, he's trying to get a message across. Is it realistic? I'll get into my opinion on this here in a second, but what says you?
So are we going, what's stopping them from going far? Or are we saying what could get them to go far? I'm a little concerned on that question.
Could they go far? I mean, do you agree with Mauricio Poch, what Poch said, essentially?
Well,
why not us?
I would say Poch. I mean, what else is he supposed to say? I mean,
it's true.
I don't know that part.
I agree.
I don't know what he wanted to say. Well, guys, let's give it our best chance and let's just make the round of 16 and go home.
Well, some coaches will go that way. Some coaches will go the more honest way, which
not in the media.
Not in the media. That's sure. Yeah.
Not in front of the cameras. Maybe inside the locker room when there's no cameras rolling, the media there. But again, I can't really. I mean, what's Poch supposed to say here? I mean, let's just give it the good old college try, guys. Let's see what happens. No, I just brought it up to say when he goes, why not us? And then I sat there and go, okay, so what's stopping them from going far, and what's could potentially get them to go far? We'll start with the negative and then we'll end on a positive. So I think what's stopping them from going far is themselves. Self-inflicted red cards. Looking at you, Tim Wham. Hopefully, don't punch anybody this time. That's all I would say. But I would say outside of that, I say what's stopping them from going far, I think, is potentially the way depending on what the back line looks like. If Noah Kai Banks is there, if not, I'm just going to play the game for this situation that he's not going to be there. That's the game I'm going to play. So Tim Ream, he will probably be out there. That just seems like a recipe for disaster for me. That's just my own personal vendetta. I just think that his legs are gone. I just don't think he's that good. And then another negative I would say is the other center back, because Miles Robinson, Mark McKenzie have been, I would say, less than ideal for us going forward, or in their previous caps, I guess you want to call it that, cap wise. Goalkeeping situation still scares me a little bit with Matt Turner and Matt Freese. Gosh, I really hope Slonia develops it by 2030. But goalkeeping situation really scares me. And I think going forward as well, I think attacking-wise, that scares me a little bit just because we've never really been a country that scores a lot of goals. And obviously, how do you win soccer games? That's scoring goals. And obviously, we've improved in the front three or whatever it's going to be. With Balogun, I think he's a much better striker than I think it was Haji Wright, Jesus Ferreira, Josh Sargent were some of the strikers played in 2022. So there's that. Pulisic obviously has gotten a lot better. Tim Weah has gotten better. Malik Tillman's come onto the scene. He's been a really good attacker for Leverkusen. Which, by the way, thank you for tackling Madueke in the box for Arsenal back in the round of 16. Thank you, Tillman. Complete dummy tackle. Bonehead tackle. But those are a couple things that I think player-wise and position-wise, I think we couldn't go far. But I also think that I think structurally, is this formation going to work against? I'm going to go Turkey, and think we got Paraguay and Australia. I mean, look, we tied Australia, so I can't really say there. Paraguay, there's some bad blood. That's why I say self-inflicted red cards. Looking at you, Tim Way, especially in that game. But I just don't know if maybe if they're up for it, because the last time we had a tournament with the big guys, we got grouped, and it was just a bad showing. So I really hope that that doesn't happen. But this is one of the reasons why I think we could go further. So the picture on the left is the starting 11 from our round of 16 Netherlands game, and you see Pulisic, Tim Weah, McKennie, Adams, Musa, Anthony Robinson, Tim Ream, Walker Zimmerman, Serginho Dest, and Matt Turner. And guess who's up top? Jesus Ferreira. Oh, gosh. why in the world is he even playing? Then I'll roll down the bench for you real
Yeah.
quick, too. Luca De La Torre, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Christian Roldan, Ethan Horvath, Aaron Long, Kelly Acosta, Shaq Moore, Sean Johnson, Joe Scally. I mean, what are we doing here? And let's go to the right side. This is our last game against Uruguay in the Copa America, because I thought this was probably the last time we had all of our big guys together in one spot. Battling up top, Gio Reyna, Christian Pulisic. The only reason Reyna started this game is because that was the one-game suspension Tim Weah had to serve. Musa, Adams, McKennie, Scally, Richards, Ream, Robinson, Turner. And obviously, immediately I look at the right side. I'm like, okay, that's a much better starting 11 than the one on the left against the Netherlands. Even going down the bench a little bit, you have Aronson, Vickers, Horvath, Mark McKenzie, Shaq Moore was there, Ricardo Pepi was there, Sargent, Tillman, and then Johnny Cardoso and Luca De La Torre. So much better starting 11s from previous years to 2022. So I would say a reason we could go further is we've vastly improved since 2022.
We're just better.
Like that starting 11, I could live with that starting 11 here in the World Cup with maybe taking out Tim Ream, hopefully. And the back line obviously would look a little bit different. Musa is most likely not on this roster. But again, no, I think that is the main reason why I think this team could go further. And I just think that's the only reason why I think this team could go further is obviously, coaching much better than 2022 as well. The coaching is by far better than what Greg Berhalter was doing. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. So I'll take the same format you did, right? We'll start with the negative and go to the positive. In terms of the question, what's stopping them from making a run? I think the only thing, to be fair, Ryan, I know we can talk about strategy and X's and O's and everything as it pertains to that. You know, I think everything that happens on the field, I trust Poch because I do think he is a far better manager than what Greg Berhalter was or will be. So I trust him in that way. I think we're more talented, all those things. I think the one thing that's going to stop this team from making a run has to do with the drama and the stuff that happens off the pitch. In 2022, obviously, we had a lot of that with Gio and Greg Berhalter, and it was fascinating to see that whole storyline play out in real time while we were in the World Cup. It's like, guys, we couldn't have saved the nonsensical things for when we weren't in the World Cup. Like there's a time and a place in order to have these arguments and these fights. And so, you know, Gio Reyna complaining about how he's not getting enough playing time in the World Cup, right? Like this is the right time to throw a fit about that. That is the part, you know, can Mauricio Pochettino find a way to manage all of the different personalities and all of the different egos who, mind you, on their respective clubs are probably the guy or one of the better guys. That's always the biggest question when it comes to international, you know, to managers who are on national teams. How do you balance all of those personalities? And to be completely frank with you, maybe there's a certain level of respect when it comes to the U.S. men's national team players with Mauricio Pochettino, maybe a little bit more than what it was with Greg Berhalter, because there doesn't seem to be that cultural instability. So if we can get away from the drama component, if we can leave that in the past and we don't have any of that cancerous stuff following us into this World Cup, and I even, you know, I look at someone like Gio and how, you know, it's been a lot better in that regard. Now, mind you, we don't know the conversations that are going on behind closed doors, but that is the biggest part in my mind. We have to avoid the drama. We have to avoid the BS. We can't have the negative energy, which, again, to be fair, I don't think we've had a lot of that really recently. I think we've been pretty solid in terms of,
but that was
in the summer we did, certainly, but that was, you're right. That was our good
really
friend
internally.
Landon. Yeah, and our good friend Landon Donovan that we mentioned yesterday. So that's where a lot of that came from. So this is obviously far different, right? No one in their right mind, unless you're a 19-year-old Noah Guy Banks, who's like, Germany, maybe. Outside of him, everybody else seems to be all in on it and ready to go. So get away from the drama, get away from that other BS. In terms of playing out of the back and all of those other things, I think we're going to learn a lot of those lessons in these upcoming international games, the one against Belgium, all these matches. I think we're going to learn a lot of that stuff. So I trust that Poch is going to get it figured out. But let's focus on the positive side, right? Because obviously we're not as overall talented as the rest of the world. That's the other reason why maybe we wouldn't make as deep of a run. However, deeper than what we were in 22, better than what we were 4 years ago. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that we can certainly do that. And for a couple of reasons. I think 4 years is a lot of time to allow players to develop and continue to get better. I said it jokingly yesterday about the whole college term and probably shouldn't do that moving forward, partied a little too hard, learned my lessons, it jokingly, but at the same exact time, over the stretch of 4 years, you grow up a lot, you develop a lot, Christian Pulisic and what he's done in AC Milan, and we added Chris Richards, who I think, in terms of if I'm going to rank my top 5 most important players on the field, Chris Richards is in that top 5, and what he's done in the history he's accomplished at Crystal Palace. Malik Tillman has become far better and has bursted onto the scene. As you mentioned, Weston McKennie is playing the best soccer of his life right now. The best soccer of his life right now he's playing.
Yeah.
Flo Balogun, who was not our option, we didn't even have him in the 22 World Cup, and now he's playing so well that you even went as far yesterday as to say, well, he realistically could play for England if he wanted to. Like, that's a very real thing because he has been playing out of his mind. I know that Matt Freese has looked recently, but I really liked what he did in the Gold Cup, especially with what he did in PKs in order to get to the U.S. to the final. And I know it was Costa Rica, okay? I'm not freaking out about this, but it's still impressive nonetheless to be the guy to make all those saves in a PK. And I like his attitude. Now, is he the best goalie in the world? No, but I feel like something about USA goalkeepers when it matters, I feel like they always just find that next switch. So hopefully Matt Freese can be that next guy to find that next switch. I'm not saying we don't have holes. I'm not saying this team is a complete product or that we even have a semblance of a squad that can go up against a side like a France or an Argentina or a Brazil. I'm not somehow suggesting that we are one of the best in the world. However, if we're doing comparisons, I think it's always better to compare us to us and not necessarily us to everybody else. Because if you want to do us to everybody else, then we have to break down each and every, and we're cooked. Yeah, we have to break down every comparison with every team and every country. Let's compare us versus us, right? Where have we gone in the last 4 years? Better manager, better overall players, better depth, better everything. Better, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, all the way down. And so that's not to say, again, we're going to compete for a World Cup, but if we get to the round of 16, as much as I think a lot of people would be like, wow, look at us. It's not as much of a shock as I think it would have been once upon a time. It's actually crazy when you put it side by side to look at how far a lot of these players have come since that 22 campaign. So I partially agree with what Poch is saying. Why not us? And who knows what 2030 looks like, and 2034. It just, things like these, it takes time. And again, this is why this international window is really, really going to show us a lot as to what this team is just capable of going into the World Cup.
I want to go a little bit deeper here about the whole Netherlands game, and I want to go back to the last round of 16 game real quick. Yeah. So just some numbers from the USA Netherlands game in 2022. We actually had more possession, believe it or not, 58% to 41. And maybe you can be like, okay, well, US was pushing. It was a 2-1 game with 15 minutes to go. Yeah, maybe we can have that argument. But I also look at shots on goal. We had 8. Netherlands had 6, which is impressive that they scored 3 out of the 6. Shot attempts 17 to 11. Corners we had more. Saves we actually had less, 4 to 5. And then if you look back, the only stat I had to tell you about Belgium USA in our last round of 16 game before that, Tim Howard made 16 saves. That's all I need to tell you about that game. And it's a great number and a great record to have. But that means just on the day you got outplayed and you got dominated. So. Again, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. Still mad at Chris Wondolowski. But I also want to mention this, too, with Poch compared to Greg Berhalter. I like some outside hires sometimes, meaning like bringing in a guy who isn't really affiliated with the U.S. men's national team at all or U.S. soccer at all, because he can help find your blind spots a little bit quicker, where you guys are struggling at, where a team, maybe a soccer federation is struggling at. Because I imagine as a national team coach, you're also, when you're not coaching the team and not having these friendlies and these tournaments, I imagine you're probably helping the federation. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's just my assumption. And if I'm being honest, I mean, he's probably helping grow the pyramid, the structure of USA Soccer, I would imagine. And if I look at when they had Greg Berhalter for the last handful of years, I feel like Poch doesn't give two shits about any of these players. Like, if you're acting up, get out of here. Like, if you're like, I shouldn't say he doesn't.
There's no emotional ties or history.
I shouldn't
with
say
the
he
players.
doesn't care. I should not say he doesn't care, because obviously he cares about the
He's
players.
there to manage and win matches. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, he's there for business purposes. He's not there to be buddy or anything. Like, he doesn't have a kid that's maybe on the U.S. men's national team in the next World Cup cycle like a Sebastian Berhalter. Like, I just feel like Poch does not care. Doesn't have that emotional attachment as, maybe Berhalter did with a couple of players, because Berhalter may have known a handful of players, just from his son being on teams with them, maybe in youth teams or youth national teams, or heck, I don't even know, club teams, at a younger age.
They all came up together. I feel like this generation, in one way or another, I mean, they all came up. They've all been around each other. So yeah,
and Poch is like, you know what? Let me have a clean slate. And everyone has a clean slate. Prove what you can do, and it's all that. So I think the coaching and the attitude of this team, I think, is a little bit better than in 2020. I should say much better than in 2022. But I mean, the whole thing last summer, it was only a debate because all the massive soccer talking heads in the U.S. were upset about it, but like internally, clearly Poch didn't care, and clearly the players themselves did not care until people started getting pissed off at them, which, I mean, I thought all athletes don't actually care what people say, so I don't know. But yeah, no, I thought all the off-the-field distractions were done externally with former players and actually within the camp themselves.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to that degree, I think, I think that the players in the long run have appreciated Poch's approach in that moment and allowing them that space to be able to take that time, which, again, we're such rah Americans. Obviously we're fans. We want to see them succeed. So it's easy for us to just sit back and, take shots at these guys, and especially former players. Like, I understand they want to do podcasts and they want to do things, but it's like sometimes you got to think about, like, are you tearing it down or are you building it up? And sometimes, like, even in that moment, as much as I agreed with what Landon Donovan said yesterday, it's like I just felt like he went a little too far during the summer. But I do think the players trust him. And let's be honest with ourselves, Ryan. I know we got to get into our next topic here in a little bit and take a commercial break, but the reason why the U.S. hired Mauricio Pochettino was for the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like that probably was the sole reason why they brought him in. And because he knows his stuff, because he has a polished resume, but more than that, to what you're saying, with no personal affiliations or ties to these players, it is a lot harder to get through to someone like Mauricio Pochettino and be like, hey, my son's not playing. Poch is like, listen, my career prospects, Poch is like, if I left right now, I would have a job probably in the Prem tomorrow or next week. Like this position with the U.S. men's national team, of course, everybody wants to be in the World Cup. Everybody wants to manage in the World Cup. But if anybody wants to try some smart stuff and tell me I don't know what I'm doing, Mauricio Pochettino has a little bit of bargaining power, and it's weird to think that USA Soccer actually kind of benefits from that a little bit. Essentially, Poch saying, hey, if I don't want to be here, I don't have to be here, because that stops everybody from going, hey, maybe we can get something out of him. Maybe we can poke and prod something out of this guy, because Greg Berhalter, okay, he's in the MLS.
He's got the Chicago Fire going.
Great. Awesome. I'm sure he loves being in cold ass Chicago and not in the World Cup, but
there's a lot of other reasons why not to go to Chicago. But real quick, this is from Shots by Gavin. Berhalter in the Instagram chat. Berhalter was definitely more of a club coach than a national team coach. The U.S. also definitely needed someone who's actually had good coaching experience too. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd agree with that statement. It felt like Berhalter was just kind of like the fun uncle with the team.
The
like,
funkle.
And then eventually your mom and dad tell you to avoid because they have a drinking issue. But like outside of that, like he just kind of seemed like a kind of just a buddy. Like that's what it felt like.
And much like the fun uncle, it's all fun until it's not fun. And then it's just
Yeah.
drama and BS. And now you're like, we got to get him out of here. He's had one too many. So, no, what's up, Gavin? Appreciate you jumping on the show. It's another one of our good buddies. Looking forward to seeing you hopefully at the Whitecaps this summer. But let's step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our hour number one conversation. Another injury at Real Madrid being analyzed. Another player that apparently was misdiagnosed. This is getting weird. Doesn't seem like a coincidence anymore, at least on my side of things. Also, football supporters in Europe file legal complaint about FIFA ticket prices. Wow, I didn't know it was just the Americans complaining about ticket prices. Interesting. We'll talk more about that on the other side here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back to Inside the Game 258. Nate has muted his mic. Looks like we're going to be talking about Camavinga here with Real Madrid. Oh, Nate, there you are, my man.
Take it away, man. No, you're good. That was a solid. That was solid right there. Took it over. You were ready. Yeah, my bad. Getting into our next topic here on the show today. Well, you just heard it from Ryan. Eduardo Camavinga apparently was examined earlier this year by the same Real Madrid coaching, or rather medical staff that we talked about yesterday, that misdiagnosed Kylian Mbappe. They looked at the wrong leg. We finished off that conversation talking about how their former nutritionist and mentioned that apparently Real Madrid is using the free version of ChatGPT for medical recommendations.
I
on
think
how
they
to
could
treat
afford
players.
the premium version. I'm just saying.
I'm sure they could, but I don't know how accurate that is. But this Camavinga story is interesting. So try to lay this one out for me, Ryan. What did you take away from what this story is telling us?
I just think personally, I don't think these people know what their left and the difference between their left and the right. I don't know if they know the left one makes the L, the right one does not make an L, because how in the world do you put the MRI scan on the wrong ankle, on the wrong leg? So this is what the report is. He had an ankle injury back on December 3rd, and the publication reports that he sustained an injury to his left ankle. However, the MRI that he underwent was of the wrong leg. As a result, he was on the bench for Real Madrid just days later before then facing another 2 weeks on the sidelines. This just feels like common sense. I don't know if they're lacking common sense over at Los Blancos, because you're telling me you examined the wrong leg of Kylian Mbappe, and now you examine the wrong ankle of Camavinga. Like, at this point, just examine the whole body, see if there's any injuries anywhere else, because that's clearly what it seems to be. So this is kind of what it seemed like. So he played against Atletico Bilbao on December 3rd, then played against Celta Vigo on December 7th, then did not play for 2 weeks till Sevilla on December 20th, and then did not play against Betis until January 4th, and then Levante against on January 17th. So then it seemed like from there on out he was playing consistently week in, week out. But that whole stretch seemed really fishy in terms of what he was playing. But I don't understand people without common sense. I don't know where these doctors are getting. Maybe you go to the Steel City Nicolas Greca guy. I mean, he seems like he's got his head on straight. He's playing games and he's also becoming a doctor at the same time. So this guy's got some grit and some muscle. So what is going on at Real Madrid? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, this is getting to the point of if it happens once, you get the benefit of the doubt from everybody in the audience as well as everybody on podcasts like the one we're on right now. If you do it once, you get the benefit of the doubt of someone saying, well, whoopsies. You know, mind you, it's a big whoopsies. You know, it's a whoopsies with one of the best players in the world, which seems like more of a whoopsies than anything else. I mean, if I mistreat, you know, if I'm on the medical staff in Los Angeles and I mistreat LeBron James, yeah, there's going to be some consequences for that. Especially if you're not doing your job the correct way or you're relying on free generated results in order to make your decisions. Now, again, that's allegedly. I'm not going to say that I'm convinced it's happening, but you get the benefit of the doubt if it happens once. When it happens twice, and now we've unraveled two different players who have both had wrong legs examined, this is now going from we made a mistake, humans make mistakes, even doctors make mistakes, to this is almost in like malpractice on the way of Real Madrid's medical staff. And why it's going this way, why it is that they have gotten two very important things wrong with two very important players that needed the correct treatment, and not just got it wrong, right? But examining the wrong leg. I mean, I would like to imagine these players probably have a way of saying what leg hurts, where it hurts, how it hurts, what happened, all of these other things. So what is it that's happening in those rooms, or what is it that's being directed to the medical staff that's not allowing them to do their job properly? Because again, once you get the benefit of the doubt, it happens two times. Now we're going to start asking questions. And this doesn't just seem like, oh, we made a mistake. It seems like they are fundamentally, the way they are going about treating these injuries, prescribing medications, whether it be surgery or scheduling all those things out, is they are not doing it the right way. They're just not. So it seems like it's starting to get to the point of malpractice, and more so than maybe what it was before, and getting the benefit of the doubt. So I got to read farther into the story and try and figure out or decipher what a specific reason could be as to why these miscommunications have been happening. But whatever it is, the way you're doing business right now, if you're Real Madrid's medical staff, is not the way to do business. How do you change it? I don't know. Look at the way anybody else does it. I have never seen this issue until it was Real Madrid. And once is bizarre enough. Twice, we're circling back and having this conversation about another player after Kylian Mbappe. Yeah, I check the whole team, man. If anybody had any sort of ailment this year, I would just check them just to make sure that they're good to go, because you're going to have dudes start dropping left and right from injuries because they weren't treated properly. So what that looks like, again, you are correct in saying that of course they can afford the premium version of ChatGPT. Of course they can, but did they pay for it, or have they just been banking on regular ChatGPT? Because it does say, and by the way, to anybody who wants to use ChatGPT, it does say at the bottom it is not completely accurate. And I know this because as a sports broadcaster, I've read off stats that I'm like, that's not correct, and I'll go back and it's literally not even close to what it's supposed to be. So chat and AI is not completely accurate, you bozos. Okay, anybody out there using chat or AI, do your homework. All right, do a little bit of background, make sure. Okay, stop. We are the brain rot generation of the world. I understand, but my goodness gracious, you can put in the extra 5 seconds to make sure that the information you're looking at is correct. Because if I just simply, as a broadcaster, if I just went off of what ChatGPT told me, I would get shit wrong all the time. So if a medical professional is relying on ChatGPT to tell them, hey, here's how you assess this injury, here's how you treat this injury, here's what you prescribe for this injury, hell yeah, they're going to get it wrong. great technology, cool, awesome, but it's developing. It's not there yet. So again, these are all allegedly, these are all conspiracy, probably level things, but yeah, that's how I feel about that.
I got a couple shout outs real quick. Shrock says, sorry I'm late. My dog ate my homework. Totally understand. It's a valid excuse. 2 TikTok shouts before we get to Gavin's comment. 2 TikTok shouts. Push the Rock 24 and the Adam Knits all have followed us here on TikTok. I've been in our TikTok live chat, so shout out to you two. And then Gavin goes, I'm convinced, in the Instagram chat says, I'm convinced the Hippocratic Oath is just a suggestion at Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid has been very fishy over all these years and very sus. So I don't think you're far off on that one, Gavin. I think it is merely a suggestion for Real Madrid. It's almost like Michigan State being like accountable for things. Just kind of it's kind of like suggestion. Maybe we can do it, but we'll blame everyone else for everything. No, I do not understand why we're relying on AI and ChatGPT to diagnose medical issues and medical problems with players. I do not understand why in the world we are getting to that level, because AI and ChatGPT aren't always right. Learned it even here myself a couple of times with notes, like you said. I just gave it a try one time on an ESPN broadcast last year with Eastern Michigan in Central Michigan. I was like, you know what? Let me just see what ChatGPT can get me real quick. And I looked at it, and it was like half of it was right. The other half was well off. So then I just did it the other way and just had to do double the time work because I thought I could pull a fast one here and do ChatGPT for that game, which was not correct. But it just makes no sense how these doctors who have probably spent tens of thousands of euros and maybe 6 figures on medical degrees or whatever it is over there, and we're using ChatGPT to diagnose real-world problems. I don't know if Spain's got a ChatGPT issue or an AI issue, because how in the world is the biggest club, arguably the biggest club in your country, using ChatGPT to diagnose doctor problems? But at the same time, you mentioned yesterday, Nate, about Mbappe, with a lot of pressure on the club, a lot of pressure on the team. Are Camavinga, who's an integral part of the team, and especially in the midfield, is this maybe kind of coming from upstairs? Yeah, please diagnose this guy wrong. We need him on the field. It doesn't matter if it gets hurt or not, because December was kind of around the time when Xabi Alonso left, kind of when it was going south for Real Madrid in terms of the league, in terms of Champions League. So you wonder maybe if there's some pressure from some higher ups, maybe some, I don't know if they got mob ties over there in Spain or anything like that, but it just kind of feels like maybe this is another example of maybe Real Madrid just is trying to get the best out of every single player. And, hey, you're playing through an injury. I get it. Or maybe Xabi Alonso walked in there and says, I want you to be a damn soccer player, instead of, you got a little bruise or something. So, just curious if maybe that's another maybe an example of that, or maybe we're just reading into something that's not there.
Well, don't underestimate the pressure that it is on the shoulders of a big brand like a Real Madrid. I mean, they're just, you're almost like they talked about how businesses back in 2008 were like too big to fail.
Yeah.
They did everything they could to not fail, because it just felt like there's no way we can fail because of how big we are and how important we are. And so I could see Madrid feeling like they're backed into a corner and they have to do something desperate in order to make it work and get players back out there quicker. These are all very, very realistic things that we need to consider in all of this. And this is another one of those stories. I don't think we're either anywhere close to the end of what this saga looks like. And again, just kind of adding to that, thank God they won 5 straight so that one fan could just cut his hair. Like that's all I really cared about, because he started to have a freaking hat on his head. Was that Madrid who had to win?
That was 5 straight games. I didn't know they have not won 5 games.
United that had to win 5. Okay, all right. Well, he ended up cutting his hair anyways. It looked like a freaking hat on his head. He
actually cut his hair?
It was not. Yeah, he did. Was it supposed to be 5 straight? How many was it supposed to be?
I don't think he's cut his hair yet.
Really? No, he did. I saw a video of it yesterday.
He cut it?
I think he did.
Oh,
Is it not
I'll go
showing
to
it?
his TikTok, but I don't, because it says 3 days ago he still had his hair cut. So I'll look at it during the break. But I saw a video yesterday where he still had his hair, and it was like 5:36. So
Okay. All right. Yeah. But anyways, no, whoops, wrong team. But no, yeah, for Madrid, it's this saga is just, it's getting weird. But let's take one more break. When we come back, let's get into our final topic here in the soccer portion. Ticket prices are ridiculous. So now we got European fans speaking out about it too. They are also pissed off at FIFA. It's something that we continue to talk about, I feel like, day in and day out, but will anything really be done about it? No, they might reduce a few tickets, but who knows? It's yet to be seen. But let's talk about Barcelona a little bit. Barca Academy is a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model. Same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. And right now you can save $30 on registration by using promo code FCB30, and that's FCB30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca camp, I see my son grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now for Barca Camp.
The National Soccer Network presents the MLS and WMLIS Finals weekend. 8 teams battling for a championship at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't miss the excitement March 28th and 29th as the top indoor soccer teams compete for the title. Watch every match live and exclusively on the National Soccer Network.
Are you good at accents?
depends.
What kind?
I don't know. I don't know what they're. I don't know. I just say words.
Do you like
different voices.
You do like a British accent or something? Because we're talking about ticket prices. Now Europeans
by
are
the
not
way,
happy.
He did not cut his hair because he just posted a video 4 hours ago and he still got his hair. He never cut his hair.
What did I see yesterday? Am I losing
Probably
my
AI?
mind?
You probably got tricked by
Am
AI.
I slowly? Maybe. Oh my goodness, that's not good. Oh, I think I'm slowly slipping into insanity. But let's get into our next topic here. I just thought maybe you could do it in accent, if we wanted to go that direction. But seems like the European fans are none too happy about ticket prices right now.
Not at all.
What is it looking like? Not at all.
No, it seems like where are they at? They fought the Football Supporters Europe, so FSE, have filed a formal complaint with the European Commission against FIFA, alleging that the football body has abused its monopoly position to impose excessive ticket prices and unfair purchasing conditions and processes on European fans ahead of the 2026 World Cup. FIFA holds a monopoly over ticket sales for the 26 World Cup and has used the power to impose conditions on fans that would never be acceptable in a competitive market. Cheapest openly available ticket now starting at $4,000, more than 7 times the cost of the cheapest 2022 World Cup final. By contrast, the cheapest UEFA Euro final was $100 or 95 euros. FIFA's own bid documents projected that the average ticket price of $1,400, but that number has been far left behind. They have added.
Yes. Good job. Good job, man. That was damn impressive. I can tell you've listened to some soccer ball throughout the course of your life. That's pretty good, man. Hey, well done. That's freaking cool. I was like half listening to the story, but also half listening to you at the same time. I was impressed.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Anyways, are we surprised? Is anybody surprised by any of this? I mean, the part about coming to the U.S. for the World Cup is I think we all kind of knew this part was coming. That FIFA knew that they were going to be able to charge an exorbitant amount to people who wanted to come to the United States to watch the games because they realize above anything else, there's gonna be someone who is willing to spend that money for the ticket. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's a passionate fan or if it's someone who just wants to go for the status of it, or if it's just someone who has FU money, who just wants to say they went to a World Cup, or a wealthy business exec. It doesn't matter who it is. FIFA knows one thing. If we're going to have this tournament in the land of opportunity, right, despite how the economy has not worked great for some people, a lot of people, but for a handful of people, it's worked really great. And so to have this tournament in America, FIFA knew and they understood, and they have also believed in the same exact thing that all of you and I have said, and that is this is going to be the most profitable of all the World Cups. But the bigger problem here is obviously the monopoly they have over ticket prices, and that's where it's hard, because what are you going to tell FIFA to do? You can't tell them anything. They're the ones that control ticket prices. They're the ones that dictate how much they're going to be, and processing fees, and how long it takes, and where in certain matches, and where they can make tickets less expensive, like they made the 1,000 tickets $60 or whatever the hell they did. FIFA, it is probably the most, and I'm sure there's other organizations we could probably loop in there too, because I don't think any pro sports organization is completely free of blame. I think they're probably all skeezy in one way or another, but the skeeziest of all, the cream of the crop, the number one in everybody's mind is FIFA. And that's why whenever these conversations about these cities are upset with FIFA because these certain logistics aren't where they need to be, or this group doesn't like FIFA, or these people sign petitions, now the Europeans getting involved with it, which, by the way, screw you guys for having the balls to be like, well, you asked to host it, we can host it, and then turning around and being like, I can't afford to go. Yeah, well, motherfucker, it goes both ways. Damn. Okay, they like to screw everybody over, you dumbass. So anyways, but that's FIFA. Everybody gets it. Everybody gets it. It's not just one person or the other. They want to screw everybody out of their money. So none of this is a shock at all to me. I just think as exciting as having the World Cup is here in the US, unfortunately, I think it's created an opportunity for FIFA to go, okay, we can go above and beyond where we've gone maybe in previous World Cups, whether that be with the halftime entertainment or all the other things around the stadium. And then, just again, the sheer amount of money that you have to spend to go watch a game. It is, I'm not sure what else to make about it. And to be frank with you, Ryan, it almost feels redundant and pointless to even talk about it. And I know that Eric Winalda went off on Tim Weah about talking about it once upon a time, like, hey, just go out and play. But I'll agree with Winalda in one way, but it has nothing to do with a player speaking out or me having a problem with that or making it political. I just think everybody needs to stop talking about it, because guess what? It ain't gonna damn change. FIFA is not going to change their mind because people like you and me, the common person, is upset that we can't go watch a football match. They don't care. They don't care. And so even if you sign petitions, even if you come to the doorstep and you're like, please, sir, please just make this at least $50 less so that we can maybe, just maybe, get a real passionate fan or a fan base or a supporter section out there versus just whoever can afford the tickets. And that is my biggest fear, Ryan. It's not that, people aren't going to get opportunities to go watch again. That's fine. It's that I want the most passionate of the passionate fans in those environments, from these countries. I want the people in those places that really bring that experience to life. Could you imagine watching a World Cup game where half the seats are empty? Like that would seem like the biggest black eye ever on FIFA, and not only on FIFA, but also on USA Soccer, because that would come back on us too. People would look at the United States and go, hey, well, no one's coming out to the tournament. Wonder why? It's in the US. Like nobody wants to go watch. Well, no, nobody can afford it here either, for the most part, unless you're talking about, certain demographics. But it's I hope it doesn't have a trickle down effect. I hope it doesn't turn into other things along the lines, but I could certainly see where it's too damn expensive to even go could have that wide ranging impact.
I would say, ticket issues are a big thing all over the world. European soccer games, EPL games, they're all issues. And Shark said, "Great score. That's not bad in it." No, it was not bad at all. I know it wasn't. But so see, here's the thing. If FIFA, because I can't say I'm faulting FIFA for trying to make the most money that they can, but if they lower the ticket prices for everybody, which I think April 1st is supposed to be a last minute ticket sale or whatever, first come first serve, so I think they'll be lowered then. But if they all get lowered by then and they become affordable for people, well, this whole thing doesn't truly matter anyways, because the tournament's not for another almost 80 days. And I can't fault a company for trying to make the most money that they can. Are we then going to blame the hotels and the restaurants and the Ubers and the gas stations and the grocery stores for jacking up their prices because they want to make the most money that they can in these host cities? Can't really fault them too, because if you're going to blame one side, then you got to blame the hotels and them for jacking up their prices.
But price gouging people, this isn't even about I know you want to hit your margins. I know that obviously good business practices, hey, this is the amount of money we want to make. This is our projected for the World Cup, which I think it was $11 billion or something, right? So I understand that you want to hit your margins, but it's almost it's kind of like the real estate thing. You know what I mean? You could sell your house for $700,000, but no, you got to be a greedy piece of shit, and you got to get $950,000 out of it. So now every other house on the neighborhood is valued at freaking 2 times as much as what it should be. And so it's it's one of those things where it's you could charge a little bit less and still hit those margins that you want to hit. That's my issue with FIFA. You're essentially, price gouging is the most, I guess, lightest way of putting
what about
that. There's another word I could use.
What about the host cities that'll be price gouging? Are we if you're going to blame one, you got to blame the other one.
That's what businesses do. Yeah, but spending $2 extra dollars on
business too.
Hold on. Right, but spending $2 extra on a cheeseburger does not compare to spending an extra $1,500 on a World Cup ticket. You know what I mean? It's
going to be a couple $100 a night extra in hotels. It's gonna be even more.
I'm not. I agree.
What about the Marriott in Mount Pleasant for the CMU Western game, which is typically under $100 a night? Now all of a sudden it's $350 a night for that game. Are we then gonna get upset at that because that's price gouging? No. I can't fault companies for trying to create the most money that they can. I can't fault them. If it becomes an issue where it's half these stadiums aren't sold out, then yeah, we can then have that issue, but we are still 80 days away from it.
We are far out. Yeah, you are right. And if they are doing things to intentionally in areas make it less expensive so that people can have opportunities, I 100%.
What about?
But I don't. Gouging is one thing. This is more like price assaulting. This is more assault from FIFA than anything else.
Let's go to another real world example. I was able to go to a Michigan Villanova game for $50, 3 rows from the court. But then Michigan State comes into town. It's $300 for the last row at Chrysler Center. Yeah, it happens everywhere. Tiger games.
I understand.
I'm sure Whitecap games. UW, I keep wanting to say Jimmy John's baseball over here in Utica, but then they changed the name, so I don't even know what it's called anymore. But their tickets change when it comes 4th of July time.
You're right. No, and
all over the world.
I get it, but wouldn't you say FIFA is with the World Cup tickets? It's a little bit to the extreme.
Sure,
like it's a little bit more than what a typical like markup would be.
At the same time, if they then try to let's see who we can get, how many people we can get for having this amount of tickets. Let's just see what happens. Yeah. And if it fails, which it seems like it's failing, then let's lower them all. Let's try to make the money. Like I can't fault that. If they eventually lower their tickets, again, if they have the business sense to be able to if they do
feel out.
But we're still 2+ months away, because then at that point, then the hotels might have to lower their prices, because who knows? Maybe their prices. I haven't looked at a hotel in Foxborough or Boston for that weekend that they have games. So I don't know what they'll be. Maybe they got to lower their prices. But for price gouging, it happens all over the world. It happens in all these different businesses. Anything happens. All of a sudden, wait, you're telling me gas on the water was like $3 a gallon on Tuesday, but all of a sudden Saturday it's like $7 a gallon?
Well,
on the water?
that has everything.
Like,
that doesn't. Yeah, that has everything gas prices don't have to do with the gas stations themselves. That has to do with oil and everything that's going on in the Middle East.
Prices change all over the place, and because
I understand. No,
FIFA's doing it. They're
No,
not
this
the
is a
bad
basic
guy, because everyone does it.
They are the bad guy. Then
the hotels are the bad guys. The restaurants are the bad guys. The gas station, people charge prices all the time.
I get it. No, I understand. That's how the economy works. That's how business works. But what 4 times more expensive than 2022 that's greed, is what that is. And I'm not going to sit here and support greed. Like, that's not, no, I'm sorry. That's not like,
but if they
you don't
get
need
people
the
to
extra
buy them,
$2,000.
If they get people to buy them, then it's like, well, they made their money. I can't be mad at it. They made money. That's the point of.
I know.
It's the point.
It's
to make money.
Easy. It's
sure.
Easy.
Sure. But guess what? We are still 2+ months
we can
away.
Agree on that. Okay. So if they have the business sense to reduce them because people aren't buying them, at least in spots where they want them to, then yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying, man, it's a little ridiculous. And I don't think it's ridiculous to say it's ridiculous. Like, they went far above and beyond. But yes, I mean, to your point, yeah, businesses mark up their prices when there's more traffic, when there is more demand. There's going to be a higher, there's not necessarily more supply, so you have to mark up the supply that you do have in order to make sure that you have enough of it. Yeah, yes, I'm well aware of the business practices of these places, but FIFA marking up the prices that extreme is not, that's not a business practice. That's I mean, it is to make money, but yeah.
So the average ticket price for a Super Bowl this year was $10,000. Average price.
Yeah.
$10,000.
Yep.
$75,000 for premium seating. So are we then going to blame the NFL as much as we're blaming the FIFA?
I mean, I think I've talked multiple times about how the Detroit Lions have priced fans out of tickets. The most inexpensive Lions game to go to this year was the one that was in Los Angeles against the Rams. That was the most inexpensive ticket to get to any one of their games. So yes,
it happens everywhere. Just because FIFA's doing it, the
I know,
NFL doesn't.
I know, but that doesn't take it just because everybody else is doing something doesn't mean that it's okay to do it. Like, this is an issue all over the place. I agree 100%.
So
we shouldn't be pricing anybody out of games.
So but it happens in the Super Bowl, sells out, and people buy the Super Bowl tickets. So FIFA then was like, okay, so if Americans are willing to spend, let's just on an average, $10,000 for a Super Bowl ticket.
You're telling me things I already know, Ryan.
No.
I get it.
The issue is I can't fault FIFA yet. That is for this about the all European fans, soccer fans. They're pissed off at this. I cannot fault FIFA yet until I see what the stadiums look like. I also got to see what April 1st looks like, because FIFA looked at it and goes, okay, if these dumb Americans are willing to spend $10,000 on a football game, what says they won't spend that amount of money on the World Cup games? Okay, so let's let's just see. Let's roll the dice. Let's see what happens. If people then are buying it up and they're like, oh my gosh, we need to go. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Every 4 years this happens. Okay, and they happen to sell out 75% of the stadium, 50% of the stadium on those prices, then it's a win. And then it's like, okay, well, let's get the rest. Let's make sure we sell it out. Let's lower it all. Then it looks like those people that bought tickets originally, they look worse. But I'm just saying, I can't fault FIFA yet. I have got to see what the prices look like on April 1st. Heck, I might even sign up for it, maybe live on the show. We'll buy some tickets next week. But I cannot fault it yet. I can't yet.
Yeah. And if they, I mean, I think it would shock the hell out of a lot of people if they ended up doing, I mean, I know that they plan on, they know, and you're telling me everything that I know. And I understand that. And it is, I mean, like I said, they saw the opportunity and they're trying to take advantage of the opportunity, but you're right. If they have smart business sense and they see that they're not all filled up, at least the way that they should be, reducing those prices would certainly be the right choice. But let's take a step aside. Coming up next, we'll get into our all sports content. We got Nebraska and Iowa playing in the Sweet 16. You got a lot of Big Ten teams in the Sweet 16, 6 of them. There is an outside possibility. There's an outside possibility of a Michigan MSU national championship. Just throwing that out there. So just a chance. Couple of games away. Could be a thing. We're also going to talk about opening day for the Tigers, expectations coming up for that team, as well as some news on just how much of a dummy Sharon Moore was. All that and more coming up next. First Man City Soccer Camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy to players across the United States. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels. These camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, this MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. We're right back in here on Inside the Game, 2:58 here on the National Soccer Network. It is time for the Sweet 16. Got those matchups coming up this weekend, Nebraska and Iowa. However, they're playing tonight, matching up two Big Ten rivals, and it's been getting a little nasty in the social media world. There's a reason why we love X when it comes to sports teams, and it's been some back and forth with those two. But yeah, you talk about a hotly contested, exciting matchup between two sides that just frankly hate each other. Nebraska and Iowa doing it tonight.
Yeah, I hate Nebraska basketball. That was before the stuff that they're posting on social media. I don't like the broadcasters. I think they're massive homers. I don't like their fans because they cry about every single thing. I don't like Fred Hoiberg because he's like, we run such an attractive offense, but everyone just fouls us. It's so physical. Yeah, you're playing the Big Ten. It's physical. They let you play. Sorry about that, Fred. But that's what happens. And you just got a break by playing Iowa today instead of Florida, who would have killed you guys. But it's a rivalry game, so I guess anything can happen. But no, I hate Nebraska basketball. I no wonder you suck at football too. I hope Matt Rule. Dude, there's something about Nebraska because Matt Rule cries every 10 seconds too. It's, well, Harbaugh cheated and Michigan had all this, and then last year it's, well, my quarterback's young. Well, he's making $3 million. Okay, there's a difference between that, and then it's, screw Nebraska. I hate them all. Hate them all. They just cry all the time. So the question that I just brought up was, well, would you take a Michigan MSU tournament game? But if we're talking 2026, there's a potential national championship on the line if they were to play. If they were to play this year, they'd play in the national championship game, which, to be honest, I don't see happening because I don't know if MSU gets out of the region. But in Michigan, they got a tough road too. Alabama, Iowa State. I know people are downplaying it because of the Aiden Holloway situation and Josh Jefferson for Iowa State, but I don't know if I could mentally handle a Michigan MSU Final Four or an Elite Eight or a national championship game. Just like how I would not be able to. I couldn't even handle the quote unquote playoff Michigan Ohio State games in college football. Like those handful of years where if you win, you're in the playoff. You win the Big Ten essentially. That was rough as it is. So, and I couldn't even handle, because I know more Michigan State fans than Ohio State fans. I would not be able to handle it.
I will make the same comparison. You brought up Michigan and Ohio State. Beating them once is good enough. As much as I don't like Ohio State, beating those dudes once is plenty enough. That's fine. I'm good with that. And I remember hearing the suggestion, and it was close to being reality, that we could play them in the national championship game, and thinking if a regular season game against Michigan and Ohio State is enough to put me in a position to where I can't be around anybody else watching that game, unless it's my father. He's the only other person that I will allow to actually sit there and watch that game with me because he doesn't say shit. So it's like I don't have to worry about him saying something. So if that's how I act during a regular season game, a national championship game, also having to beat that team for a second time?
Yeah, in like a month?
No, I would go into cardiac arrest easily. And so when you take a look at the basketball conversation, I know what Valenti said. I know what all these MSU fans have said, and that is, well, Michigan's just better. Michigan's just a better team this year. They beat us twice, at home, on the road. Ryan, I know this is the most overused line in all of sports. I get it. I know we said it about 18 times during Oakland's opening round game against Northern Kentucky. But guess what? It reigns true to this day. It is so damn hard to beat a team 3 times. Yeah. It is so unbelievably hard to beat a team 3 times, and especially a rival like Michigan State on a level like that. You just think eventually the odds are going to work in their favor. In the thought of them winning that national championship and being the first team to win it, obviously since they did it in 2000, and now Izzo has his second national title. It seems like everything that this Michigan team, if that were to be the case that they've done this year, would all be a wash. Yeah. It would all be down the drain. And this conversation that we're having about the best Big Ten team of all time, technically during the regular season, yes. But no one would look back on this team, and I wouldn't say no one, but a lot of people wouldn't look back on this team and celebrate it because we lost it in the biggest moment against the one team in the country, again, maybe minus Ohio State, that you absolutely cannot have that happen to. So the implications of that game would be vast, far reaching.
Just real quick. This would be the path I think both of these teams would have to take. Michigan State obviously plays UConn tomorrow night. They also play them in hockey in the NCAA tournament for that tomorrow. So Michigan State can maybe own UConn, and UConn can maybe own Michigan State. I don't think UConn beats them in hockey, but basketball-wise, no. I would say UConn. I think UConn is a little bit of the favorite, just because Michigan State is just I don't know. They just seem like an interesting team. Obviously, they got a little bit lucky that Louisville didn't have their main guy, Mikael Brown. Obviously, that helps a little bit. Still under a 10-point game. And UConn's really good. But again, UConn, maybe if UCLA had Milladao, whatever his name is, maybe that's a different game as well. Then you look at Duke St. John's. To be honest with you, Nate, Duke hasn't impressed me at all in this tournament. St. John's has. And St. John's pressure without Caleb Foster for Duke, their point guard, I think St. John's going to actually win. I think then Michigan State would run into Duke or St. John's. And then if we're being honest, I think they would run into Houston in the Final Four. And then you would maybe have to run into Michigan. But my thing is, I have two very toxic Michigan State group chats with friends from Central Michigan, which is funny. None of us went to Michigan or Michigan State. And then obviously the one here at home. And I bet you I probably stir the pot in each group chat at least once a day or every other day regarding Michigan State stuff. Sometimes I think some of them eventually caught on that I'm just fishing. I just threw the worm in the bobber in the water and see what hooks on.
Yeah.
But I don't know if my friend group chats would exist if Michigan State played each other in a Final Four or even a national championship game. Last year, it was close to reality. It really was, because Michigan was up a little bit on Auburn, and then Auburn, just them being a really good team, eventually just took over and beat Michigan State. Do I think they meet up in the national championship? No, I really don't. I don't think Michigan State gets there, to be honest with you, Nate, because I think they would run into Houston in the Final Four, and I just think Michigan State, they're a team where it's like they're good, but they're just not that level of good, if that makes sense. Like they're like a tier below the elite teams, I think, in the tournament. And to be honest with you, Nate, if Michigan were to get to the Final Four, I think they'd run in Arizona, and I don't know if Michigan beats Arizona. So I don't know. And if I look at their Alabama game, Alabama shoots a ton of threes, and that's the recipe for winning in March. You could get blown out by 30, but you could also win because you hit so many threes. Iowa State, that's an interesting one as well with their size, but Iowa State is just one of those teams. Like, there's always a couple teams in sports where it's like they're good, but you just know they're going to crumble at some point, and that's Iowa State. Yeah. They're a team that just can't get past the Sweet 16, can't get to the Final Four. Arizona's another one of those teams, so maybe they lose. But also want to say this. I don't like all these Big Ten teams being this far in. I don't like it because from a Michigan standpoint, I do not want to play a single Big Ten team anymore. I don't, because Michigan put BTA on every single team besides Wisconsin this year.
Well, to that logic, why wouldn't you want it?
Because every team mentions that makes a natty run or makes a Final Four run, they talk about they do not want to play anyone within the conference anymore once it comes March.
I guess, yeah, because they know you better.
Because they've played you so many times. They've played you at least once, maybe twice, maybe even 3 times. Yep. And, like, I remember Kemba Walker talking about their miraculous run. They eventually ran into, what Big East? They ran into a Big East team, and they were like, oh, I do not want to play a Big East team. And, like, all these different teams do not want to play within the same conference because they just know, like Kentucky, Auburn, I think in 2019, they don't want to play. Like, Kentucky's the better team than Auburn, but Auburn, they played each other so many times that gives the advantage to the lower seeded team or the not favorite just because of what's happened. And I don't want to play Purdue anymore. I swear to God, Trock, if you're still in the chat, your Longhorns better win tonight against Purdue. I swear. They better win because I do not want to play that team anymore. They're too physical. They punched us in the mouth in the Big Ten tournament, in the Big Ten championship game. I don't want to play them, even though I think Arkansas and Arizona would probably beat them anyway. But I could not handle the mental capacity. Why? Because that you could then beat this fan base for the next 20 years, and they still have the left and right Bauer and Euchre. They had the biggest card because all they got to do is type in whatever date it was in the score, and they automatically win the argument. I'm just saying.
And that would be the 3rd national championship I've seen this Michigan basketball team make and not win. And that
they've lost the last 5. They've already lost the last 4.
That alone would just be, I mean, just heart-wrenching. So yeah, I mean, it's. I don't think yeah, the mental load, the nerves, everything else as it pertains to a game like that would just be too much to handle. However, I will say it would be the most hotly anticipated matchup between the two schools, arguably in history. I don't think there's been any other game that would even come close to that, because I don't think they've ever competed for a national championship against each other. My guess is that would be the first one.
They've never played each other in the tournament. They've been close.
Yeah.
They've been close a couple times.
Yeah, a couple of times. So one of these days, I feel like the fantasy is going to become reality, and even merely talking about it on the show today is just making me uncomfortable right now, because I don't want to speak this into existence. Not because I'm like anyone's scared of the other. It's just like, again, same thing. It's like we could either complete the trilogy, or we could, again, they have the trump card for however many years it takes until Michigan wins it.
And to your point, I think with the expanded fields and the expanded tournament, like, we're getting closer to that, especially in football, because, again, we might get into it, maybe not, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow, but I just got to talk about how stupid of a guy Sharon Moore is. He just seems like a total dumbass based on what all these players are saying. But to how you mentioned earlier about Michigan's just better. Well, if you ever listen to Mike Valeni and Rico Beard when it comes to Michigan State sports, it's always, yeah, we're just not good enough. It's this whole downplay it. We're little Michigan State. It's little this and that. And then all of a sudden, the moment they win, I told you we're good. They did this. Tom Izzo's such a tough coach. They do this. Mark D'Antonio that. Well, you just downplayed it. You can't do that. Like I said, I said Michigan would probably lose to Michigan State, but I didn't. I wasn't all rah-rah, Dusty May this. I was more talking about all the sidebars about how dirty of a player Jeremy Fears is and how Dusty May was just sitting there like this with his arm in front of the fans. I didn't talk about that.
Right.
But it's like, and then obviously the second time around we talked about it, I'm like, yeah, Michigan will probably win this game. I think it'll be tight, but Michigan will win this game. And that's just the way it is, man. Like, but if you listen to those two, it's always downplay it until it happens. And it's like, or it's like when Michigan's doing something, it's all of a sudden, well, you're supposed to win. You're supposed to do this. And then when you lose, it's, well, how'd you lose? Well, they're the better team anyway. Same thing happened in 21 Georgia.
Jeremy Fears is playing a lot better. I will say that. I mean, 16 assists against Louisville is the most in a single tournament game. I know he's not in his head, and that's almost more scary for Michigan fans. Like, the fact that Jeremy Fears isn't.
I think if he played Michigan again, it would come back, because I think he's so I don't know what it is. He's so amped up in his head about it. So I think I think it would come back.
Could he handle the pressure of a national championship game? That's the biggest question. And like, if I'm Izzo, I'm losing sleep over that one. If we're going into a game against Michigan in the national championship, like, what the hell is Jeremy Fears going to do? So, but I mean, he has looked better. That much is for sure. Coming up next, though, we'll talk a little bit about Tigers opening day. Our expectations this year. Ryan's got some lofty ones on here, so we'll see if we can meet any of those. Also, we'll try to fit the Sharon conversation, as I do think it's an interesting one. We'll try to fit that one into the conversation. If not, we can save it for tomorrow as well. But all that and more coming up next here on Inside the Game.
Experience the thrill that came like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
whether it's a championship win or a legendary play.
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
And we're back in here on Inside the Game, National Soccer Network. Nate Wangler and Ryan Glinsky getting into some of our final topics here today in our last half hour here in 258. It is opening day. Congratulations. Happy it is back. It is the weather's starting to warm up ever so slightly here in Michigan. It's an exciting day for everybody involved. We saw boss man JT in here a little bit with all of his Tigers gear on. Sorry, I failed to wear any of my Tigers gear, so I'll throw some of that on. I do work for the organization. Probably not a great look for me, but got some lofty expectations.
Well,
you
had the excuse.
Right?
Well, my team doesn't have opening day today, so there you go.
There you go. All
so
right,
if
that's fair, okay.
If Illich is like calls you and is like, Nate, why aren't you wearing Tiger stuff? Well, I broadcast the Whitecaps, Mr. Illich.
Yeah. Hey, man. Hey, surprise, Scott Harris is actually watching the show right now, so no pressure, but go ahead and tell us some of your expectations for the Tigers this season.
Scott, you got to win the world. I'm just kidding. So, bare minimum, you win the division. That's the bare minimum. You haven't done it since, I think, 14, 15, something like that. It's been a long time, and you blew the lead last year, and that was just comical. But you won the playoff series, so I don't know. I don't know if it matters or not. I don't know. But you bare minimum have to win the division. I know their line is set up at like 85.5 wins, I believe is what it is. I think they'll go over on that. Bare minimum, win the division. Hopefully you can somehow avoid the wild card round. Maybe you end up just in the ALDS. Regardless, I would like that. I think though, Nate, that with this current team constructed, I think they're an ALCS ceiling team. I know I said on social media, you got to make the World Series. I said that because if you have the best pitcher in baseball, and this is going to be your final crack at it, I think you've got to do everything you can at least to get to a World Series. I just think that because, again, we can talk about the Dodgers, all this and that and all that, but this team, like, maybe the Dodgers don't perform well in the World Series. I don't know. Sorry, dude. The walls are thin, man. The walls are thin. But again, I think if you can add a bat at the deadline, again, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know who that'll be. We don't know what teams are going to suck. Maybe contracts, whatever. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think if you were then to add a bat by the deadline, that's why I say that hopefully they're buyers at the deadline. But I think currently constructed, they're ALCS ceiling. But if Kevin McGonigal becomes the second coming of Jesus Christ, and maybe Max Clark shows up and he becomes the second coming of Jesus Christ.
2 Jesus Christs.
We're going to win the World Series, damn it.
Better than 1.
We're going to win the World Series, damn it. Who cares? Shohei, who? Freddie Freeman, who? Mookie, who? Robots, who? But no, I think right now my expectations, win the division, make the ALCS. That's my expectations right now.
That's fair. If I was a betting man, I would put my money on them to win the Central. And I'm not a betting man, so I will metaphorically, hypothetically, put my money on the Tigers to go win the Central. Because I really
throwing $1,000 down right now on the Tigers to win the AL Central.
$15. You're getting my $15. Please give it back, or maybe I can make something on it. Who knows? But no, I think that I think they win the division should absolutely be the expectation for this team. I think they can get to a World Series. Absolutely. I mean, I think the thought of beating the Dodgers is it's just a fantasy. I think it is the Dodgers, and then it really is truly everybody else on this. And so, I think that's going to become more of a problem in baseball. It's a separate story, though. We're talking about the Tigers today, right? Because it's opening day. I'm not going to wax poetic about how much I hate the Dodgers, so we're not going to get into that. But I do think a win total, you have a few on here. I think more than 85 wins is perfectly fair. I think Kevin McGonigal, as I talked about, is the best pure hitter I've ever seen in terms of a prospect standing.
Kevin
and so I think the expectation,
the ball
I don't know if there you go. Nice. Good line. I don't know, rookie of the year, maybe, but I do expect him to have a solid season. I expect him to be productive out of the gate. I know sometimes we see that steep learning curve when it comes to hitters in Major League Baseball. It takes him a second to kind of get it figured out. But I don't think that's going to happen for Kev. I think he has shown at every single level he's been at that he's been able to figure it out and dominate. Now, obviously, Major League Baseball is different. That's a different level. But I still like the fact that I think he's going to have a great season. For Riley, I want to see Riley healthy. I know you put him up over 28 home runs. He could easily be a 30 home run guy, but can Riley stay on the field for long enough to where he can be that productive? That's been the main
Over
issue.
200 strikeouts for Riley Green this year?
Well, yeah, maybe.
I don't care about
they don't really care
strikeouts.
about
That's not a good
strikeouts
answer.
nearly much. Yeah. But and then Torkelson, 30 home runs. I could see it. I could certainly see it. I think for Torque, it's just, you talk about the strikeouts. We got to cut down on the swing and miss, man. I mean, he is one slider away on every single pitch of just going back and sitting down. You wonder why they approached him that way. Seattle did in the playoffs last year. I mean, they literally threw him at like 9 straight sliders. It's funny when and Javi's the same exact way. Like, you find that one pitch that these guys just can't hit. And so keep attacking him that way. And I
he
think
just goes, I'm swinging at this one regardless.
Javi just swings as hard as he can in the hopes that he hits it, which, I mean, I kind of like it, but at the same time, I know he had his back issues, so maybe that played into it a little bit, but who knows? So I think for Torque, it's more plate discipline. I think it's more consistent contact. I know we want to see him drive the baseball, but which I think will come. I think he's getting bigger and stronger, but it really all comes down to that. But, also, who else is going to step up and be the leader of this offense? Do we find someone in that mix of players that has a legendary standout season, a career season? The offense is always the thing that concerns me a little bit. But what concerns me a little bit more, do we see the continuation of what Tarek Skubal's done the last couple of years? Does he pick up where he left off here tonight against San Diego over on the West Coast? I think that's really important. I know it's just one guy in a rotation. Like, you can't point at one guy on a baseball team and be like, this is why they won or lost. It's not how the game works, especially when it comes to pitchers. However, he was as close to a guaranteed W as we had and have ever had, really, in this organization, minus the guy behind him and Justin Verlander when he was here. How does JV look? Is he able to have the endurance, the stamina to be able to last an entire season, especially as a starter? If he's in that rotation, is he just more of a piggyback guy? Is he someone that we can rely on for that long? How does he look? And also the bullpen. And can we keep our pitchers healthy, right? You're getting Jackson Jobe back. I think the depth in
When
that
does he come back?
I think Jobe is back. Well, I don't know when the specific time is. Let's see when he's expected to be back.
June 16th. Wait.
Yeah.
2025. He's throwing 120 feet by late in March. So.
Oh, wow. All right. So I guess you're not getting Joe back for a while. Never mind. Correction on that one. Well, hey, I guess there's a reason why we told you not to draft him in the first place, right? Because a high school kid who's never had an injury.
He is hoping to return for important innings late in 2026 rather than 2027. So you're thinking August, September, that time for Jackson Jobe.
So
I will point this out. You want the biggest thing I want to see from the Tigers team this year? Who's the effing leader on this team? Because there ain't a leader on this team. Skubal sure as hell ain't a leader. You think it would be Riley Green or Spencer Torkelson, but it felt like last year when they were in their slump.
Why would you say Scoob isn't a leader?
Really? We
Why
really
would you
think
say
Skubal's a
isn't
leader?
Why would you think he's a leader? Why would you think he isn't a leader? I'm curious by that. I know you're just saying this to debate me into debating you on this, but why would you say he's not a leader?
Let's look into, I don't know, USL, or not USL, World Baseball Classic. That
has nothing to do with the Tigers.
I don't think pitchers are leaders to begin with. I don't think they are. They pitch once every 5 days. I don't think they're leaders. I don't think Skubal is a leader at all. There's not one quality I think this outside of, because your best player is not always your leader. I thought during that whole slump, I go, okay, let's see who's going to step up and who's going to be a leader. Thought maybe it could be Riley Green. Thought maybe it could be like Spencer Torkelson, but no one stepped up during that time to be a leader. It's like, okay, let's just try to ride this thing out. Let's see if there's another slump, because let's just maybe limp it in the playoffs, see what happens. There is not a leader on this team, I think, at all. Not yet, at least. I think it is a young group of players, so maybe they still need some maturing, but there is not a true leader on this team. If they are,
Yeah.
if there is, they haven't shown it yet. But there ain't no way in hell Scooble's a leader with all the side stuff that happens with him and all the diva that he is. Scooble ain't a leader. Also, I think maybe Scott Boras was not his agent.
Negotiating his contract and makes him a diva. Wanting the most money for what he provides on the field makes him a diva. I don't know.
Because it is a show every time that goes on. And the whole World Baseball Classic did not have an issue if he did not play. The issue I had with Scooble was him then pitching. Again, pitch count in a preseason game, not mad at it. The issue I had was, well, I don't know if I'm going to pitch. I just felt these emotions. I'm going to make an announcement.
What does that have anything to do with the Tigers, though? I guess
that's the point. Is there's a show with this guy everywhere we go. Then we had the whole arbitration case. Then we had the whole Game 5. Look, dude, I get it. You're unbelievable in the regular season. You're unbelievable. I get it. You were good in the playoffs, but I want to see more, man. If you're the best pitcher in baseball, I need to see the best pitcher in baseball on the mound delivering late in games. I wanted him to go another inning. I know you didn't want that, but look, I want greatness. I'm not here for 10 years down the line and we sit here and talk about, well, you remember when it was Scooble Day? You remember that? Well, what has Scooble won with the Detroit Tigers? The same amount of things I've won with the Detroit Tigers. 0. He's got 0 divisions. He's got 0 pennants, and he's won 2 wild card rounds. That's it. That's all that guy has ever won. He has won as much as you. Actually, no, Nate, you've won more because you got a damn ring. Well, not yet, but you've won more than with the Tigers organization than Scooble has won with the Tigers organization, unless he won something in the minors that I don't know about. But this guy has not won anything yet. He hasn't, and I think until he sits down in a middle school gym to announce that he's going to be an LA Dodger and he's taking his talents to LA, I hasn't seen anything yet.
-2 Cy Youngs, which I don't know how else you, as an individual, I don't know what else you can do outside of that. But what does he want for the
Tigers? Yeah, Cy Youngs are fine. MVPs are fine.
9 guys.
It is a team
9 guys
sport.
in your
I didn't know this
offensive
was
lineup.
Swimming. I didn't know this was
4
track
other
and field.
starting
They're not the
pitchers.
relays.
You do everything you can as an individual, but you need everybody else to do their job too. So I just don't get that logic. Also, the show thing, it's like, of course the media is going to cover the guy. He's the best pitcher in baseball.
But he keeps playing into it. He's like,
how is he playing into it?
And the media's going to cover it because he comes out and says, yeah, I'm going to make an announcement if I'm going to pitch or not. Dude, pitch or not. I don't need a damn announcement. I don't need you to feel all these emotions, man. Feel emotions in Game 5. Demand that damn ball. You threw 100 on your last pitch.
Yeah, and he threw 100 pitches in that game, and you have the best bullpen in baseball. So I mean, you play the matchups. But anyways, no, I get it. But I wanted to get into the Sharon conversation a little bit, if you don't mind. I do think it is an interesting one. I agree with the leader part. I think on the offense too. I like a headliner. Like, I think that's the thing with
we have
with
a bunch of guys. That's what we have. Yeah, we have a bunch of guys.
That's the part where it's like kind of frustrating, because depending on what you look at, it could be a 2-week stretch where Riley Green's the guy, and then all of a sudden something happens. Now he's not the guy. Now Torque's having a good stretch, or Kerry Carpenter's the guy for a few weeks. So it would be nice to see more consistency in that way, and one of our projected stars be stars, not just be another productive player in the lineup.
Number one, I get it. He was an all-star last year, but Zach McKinstry cannot be an everyday player. He just can't. 2, the Pistons are built the exact same way as the Tigers. There's one star, and there's just a bunch of guys. Cade Cunningham, Tarek Skubal. There's just a bunch of guys. You take away Skubal, this team probably barely makes it into the playoffs, if that. Well, they barely made the playoffs last year because they went through that whole slump. But if they were to play consistently, they don't go in that massive historic slump, barely makes the playoffs. That's just because they're in an ass division. But the Pistons and the Tigers are built the same exact way. Maybe get more than that tomorrow, but they're just
I think their pitching development is much better than people give it credit. I just don't think we just don't hit the ball consistently, which is, I mean, that is, you got to give, I think you got to give Scott a few years, which I think Kev is an indication of the Scott Harris development side of
the
things.
Second coming of Jesus Christ.
Well, no, because he's a Scott Harris guy. Like, that's what
he's a second coming
people
of
don't
Jesus.
Understand that.
He does not hit the ball. The ball hits him.
Let's hope. Let's hope, right? But like people always like focus on like Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson and these guys. I'm like, those were Avila products that he forced to Major League Baseball earlier than they were ready. I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying, like, if Kevin McGonigal has the year that we think he can have, that is a Scott Harris bought and developed product. And so we can actually see what the pieces he's putting in place and how that all works in the grand scheme of things.
When McGonigal steps into the batter's box, the pitcher purposely throws the ball for him to hit it. That's what it is. Kevin doesn't actually hit the ball. The pitcher just throws it to him. He's like, hit it. I want you to hit it. But no, it's
ball right down the middle.
Like, I want to see who the leader on this team is going to be. I get it. It's a young group of guys. I understand that. And there's not like, we haven't brought in like a pure veteran out until Justin Verlander, obviously, but we haven't brought in a pure veteran. At least offensively, we haven't. Pitching wise, sure. But offensively, we have not brought in that vet where it's like, okay, he's going to help maybe some players with some film. Might help, kind of bring the team together. I forgot who the catcher was for the Cubs when they won it, but that was a leader. I forgot his name.
Wilson Contreras. Oh no, the old guy.
I think it was Ross. Something Ross.
David Ross. Yeah, David Ross.
Like, that guy was the leader of the team. At least I think. But we don't have that leader yet. And I'm waiting to see who that leader can be because I think this could be a very special season for the Detroit Tigers this year. I think it really could. But it comes down to if people can hit the bat or hit the ball and make sure everyone stays healthy. And I think number 3 is Kevin McGonigal will become the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny you mentioned David Ross because, I mean, I remember Game 7, they had David Ross in the lineup, and I remember people being kind of like surprised by that a little bit, but he ended up hitting a home run and made a difference, and then they put Wilson Contreras in later on in the game to close it out. So,
and he was big in the rain delay, I guess. He was Herb Brooks out there. He goes, they might win 9, but not tonight. I don't know what he said.
Exactly. But. Yeah. Him and Dexter Fowler. How about that for a throwback? You don't even know who that is, do you? Dexter Fowler?
No
idea.
Wait. Was he an outfielder?
He was an outfielder. Yeah, very good. Yes.
Yeah, I know who he was. I know
played for St. Louis. Played for us. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I know who he is. I do not. Again,
okay.
Do not know.
Good pull.
Anything else? I just know who he is. Does Carlos Guillen still play in the MLB?
No, Guillen has been retired for a minute now, but I think it's funny because the Spanish radio broadcaster for the Tigers name is also Carlos Guillen, but it's not the Carlos Guillen you're thinking about. It's a completely different Carlos Guillen.
Really?
But there's been a Carlos Guillen working for the Tigers, I think, for the last 30 years at least. At least one of them in the building.
Media-wise?
and Spanish broadcaster-wise.
Can I just say, I think Carlos Guillen stare down on Jarrett Weaver was pure cinema back in the day.
Oh yeah.
He stares him down. Actually, I did. Yeah. I have Guillen's autograph actually because I was at a Bunheads game and he was in a rehab assignment. And do you remember the player Will Rhymes?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. They pushed. He was a Whitecap to right field that night, so Guillen could be a shortstop and get his rehab working.
That's funny. Yeah, Guillen was up there in terms of one of my favorite Tigers of all time. I would put him up there. I'd put Maglio in that conversation too. Ordonez, and then I don't know, probably JV. That'd probably be
Gianni
my top
Peralta?
3
He was good in the postseason.
Yeah, he was. Who else am I thinking? Placido Polanco was another fun one.
Just before me.
I really loved Curtis Granderson. Curtis Granderson was fun to watch. And he made a couple of rehab appearances in Grand Rapids, so that was always fun to go out and watch and whatever. You spoiled little shits got to take field trips to go watch the Tigers, and we got the Whitecaps, so screw you. No, I'm just kidding.
Did we take a field trip to ever see the Tigers?
Did you? I knew I knew someone from Troy High School that said that was like their like field trip day, or they like took a field trip to go see the Pistons, which I guess it makes sense if you're 15 minutes down the road from downtown Detroit. You guys are a little bit further out.
I don't think we ever took a field trip to watch the Tigers.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay.
Right. We never did. Yeah, no. It's like 40 minutes, so with a bus.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
probably
that's
looking
true.
like an hour and a half just to get everyone on the bus accounted for. Yeah,
I never know where all the damn Yeah, I never know where all the damn suburbs are, to be completely honest with you. You're either 10 minutes away or you're like 10 hours away, but you still claim Detroit. I don't get I don't get it. Like Lake Orion. Like, how can you claim Detroit if you live in Lake Orion? That is
because
not.
it's easy
that is
to
not.
tell people where you live. People out of state, I live in Detroit. That's what you tell them.
That's fair.
It's the same
That's
thing
fair.
with the Chicago folks who are from Naperville and say they're from Chicago. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I'll give
But
you that. Yeah, that's fair.
But to tell people from out of state, you're like, yeah, I live in Detroit, Metro Detroit.
Live
That's
in
where you
Lake Orion. Oh, okay. All right. I had no
Are
idea
you
where that is.
truly in Grand Rapids or are you outside of Grand Rapids?
I'm in Grand Rapids. Yeah, I'm like I could throw a rock and hit downtown. So, yep.
See if I can hit Detroit.
6, 1.
Nope. Didn't hit it. Let's do question of the day. Holy
Let's do
crap.
it.
Question of the day. Oh my goodness. Where is it? Anyway, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off. That #1 smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Scan the QR code or visit saltathletic.com today. Oh, it's getting sunny outside. Should Detroit make opening day? Should Detroit make opening day a national holiday? Everyone just takes the day off, besides the media folks, because they need the media. But it's like, you know what? Everyone gets the day off.
I agree. I would agree with it. I think because opening day means a little bit more to people in the northern states. And let me explain this. Okay, opening day in the South. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're in Atlanta, if you're in Atlanta, or if you're in Miami, or if you're in, any of these other places, it doesn't really ring the same, right? Because it's been warm the whole year. And so you don't ever have to worry about that. But in Detroit, it means a little bit different. And I always hark back to Ernie Harwell used to always have the same read-in for opening day when he was on the radio. And it was this story, this monologue that he talked about how it was warming up and the snow and the ice were melting away and all these other things. So I think in Michigan specifically, and maybe other northern states, you could probably say Minnesota too, or any of these other places, opening day is a symbol that summer is here, or at least it's arriving. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite of Groundhog Day. Like, we don't have to hear a groundhog. Spring
is arriving, not summer yet.
Warm weather is
better
coming,
days are
right?
ahead.
And it's like the reverse of Groundhog Day, where he tells you like winter is, we're gonna have 6 more weeks of winter. It's actually opening day is kind of like, everybody's back outside, everybody's back out and about and around each other. So yeah, I mean, if you're asking me if I want an extra day off, yeah, Ryan Glinsky, I'll take that for sure.
So
for sure,
I would say for me, I would agree with that statement. I think, though, at the same time, I think people just want an excuse to drink and hang out with their friends downtown and have some day drinking. Nothing wrong with that. You had St. Patty's Day, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this thing again. And you're like, boom, opening day's here, and you're like, this is sick. and I do think you're right. I think it is a sense of like, look, in the state of Michigan, in the winter months, I mean, the Pistons have been typically bad for the last 15 years. The Red Wings have been ass for 10 years, and the only thing you got going on is Michigan State hoops, traditionally speaking. And well, the Lions typically suck, and what has been the best team of the last decade or so, traditionally and historically, it's the Tigers. So everyone's hype about it, and I think I think you're right. It's a sign that I wouldn't say summer's here. But it's like, okay, we're almost out of it here. We're almost out of it. The lake, I can feel the lake calling my name. I can feel the boat. I can feel the fireworks. I can feel the country music and all the drinks calling my name. It's like, okay, there is actually light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. Yep. And it's seasonal depression is a real thing, man. Anyone who doesn't live in a cold state, like if you go through those 2 weeks where it's like -2 degrees outside, maybe not depression. I think depression's a heavy word, but you go through like the seasonal, like, fuck it, I got to go outside. Like, going outside is a task. And that's tough, man. Months, that's tough. But
I think, I think it's kind of real because, again, I'm not saying I was depressed or anything, but like I could tell I was like kind of like down in the dumps. So my freshman year of high school, so I'd wake up, go to school, pitch black outside, and then, like, there's windows and stuff, but you don't really pay attention to the sun. You're not outside. But then right after school, from 2:30 to 4:30, I had basketball practice, and we played in the aux gym as freshmen, and it was all white walls. It was just cinder block. And then all of a sudden, I was outside, and it was dark again. Oh, gosh.
By the way, there should be a holiday. There should definitely be a holiday. It should be a holiday. Sorry, guys.
So
I
can we
agree.
get the day off?
I
then?
agree. That's what I
Next
said.
week?
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. But it definitely should be a holiday. You know what I mean? No.
So we can't have the day
Actually,
off, even though
I'm
going to
start my day off a little bit earlier.
No,
I'm going to
it's a
start my
holiday
day off
for,
right
like,
now.
You know, for the purposes of like holidays, but not for like the day off. It's not like it's a national holiday, but for banks only, like banks and things like that.
Oh, okay. So we don't get the day off,
You
guys.
guys going to kiss?
What is he saying?
What did you say?
You guys going to kiss? You're awfully close.
He asked if we're going to kiss. We look really close.
Oh.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. That's it for Inside the Game.
Oh, that wraps it up. 2:58. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys joining us. Enjoy the game tonight as well as the Sweet 16. We'll be back at it tomorrow with our reactions right here on Inside the Game.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.